we go again.
Yeah, bitch! Magnets! Oh!
地球の心と物質
And
Come coffee.
Come Coffee, brought to you by Come Coffee.
Come coffee.
You want to produce not only your caffeinated levels, but your children levels? Come Coffee.
Come coffee.
Come Coffee. You want a little
Come
bit?
and get some come coffee.
You come and get some Come Coffee. Come one, come all. Come all over the place for
Don't
our Come
be
Coffee.
shy. Come and get some coffee.
Fucking yeah. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Come Coffee is our
Come
sponsor for
Coffee.
today. If you don't know what it is, well, we don't know what to tell you. We are back and Earth, Mind, and Matter. What do we do on this show, Javi?
We talk about what's going on in the earth,
In our minds.
and this is why it matters.
Earth, Mind, and Matter. I'm Frankie.
I'm Javi.
And this is episode number...
54
Look at that. We finished each other's...
sentences.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, man.
This is fucking
I'm gonna
crazy, bro.
I'm gonna seriously about to stick my dick in.
Cup Coffee.
Yes.
You fucking we're back. Last episode was our news story where we talked about Donald Trump's shoes. We talked about fucking cop shooting because of acorns.
Yo,
We
man,
talked about what
those
else?
Some wild acorns.
Wild acorns. What else the fuck did we talk about? We talked about motherfucking the Massey trials
Yeah, talking
in
some
Hawaii.
serious shit.
In Hawaii.
Hawaii.
And the last thing we talked about a dentist's office that fucking Jesus Christ somebody's mouth, and check that shit out. And now we're back with the A.M.C section. Today, it's a fucking grand day, dog.
Yeah, and if this is the first episode you guys are tuning into,
Cup Coffee.
come coffee. But just let you guys know,
Yeah.
we always cycle through news in our entertainment section, aka the AMC section.
Albums,
where-
movies, and comics.
Exactly that. We look at albums and movies and comics, and we cycle through that every other week,
Yes, we do.
bi-weekly.
Yes, we do.
This week we are looking at a comic.
Yep. Next
And-
week, we'll be looking at an album.
Well,
and then a
2
movie.
weeks from now.
2 weeks from now, we're looking at an album. And then 2 weeks from then, it's a movie. Then we cycle back to a comic. Last season, we ended off with the comic book. Do you remember?
I think the last comic we might have done was probably Fantastic Four.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
I think so.
All right. So then, well, now I mean, we've done a bunch of comic books in the past: All-Star Superman, Spider-Man Life Story. We've done Mouse. We've
Department
done
of Truth.
Department of Truth. Harry P. Carr's collection of comics.
American Splendor.
American Splendor. What else have we
Court of
covered?
Owls.
Court of Owls. So fucking good, man. Just a bunch of shit. And so yeah, this is the first comic coverage of season 2. It's an exciting one. And it's definitely a comic book that I never ever would have thought I would read, just because, you know, you Javi, knowing way more about comic books than I do. I usually find myself on the side of more popular comics or things that are more like, you know, what's it called, appealing to a newer reader. You know, like Superman, you know, Batman, or like, you know, even like X-Men, things of that nature that people are more familiar with.
More accessible type of stuff.
Exactly. And things that I know that if I pick up out of the store, even if I don't know the author, I see a recognizable character that I'm like, okay, well, at least this would be something that I know is very famous in the comic book world, like Swamp Thing, you know, which is what I've considered in the past. That's what it's called, right? Swamp Thing?
Yeah.
But this comic book we're covering today is one that I wanted to cover because I was at the Strand bookstore one of these days, and it was me and Beatrice just walking around, just looking at some books, right? And
Wait, so you guys went into a bookstore
to look
and looked at books?
yeah, after our Come Coffee, by the way.
After you had some cum coffee?
Yeah, we had to have some
Okay.
Come Coffee.
Okay.
We don't start our days without Come Coffee.
Yo,
Yeah.
I've noticed
Yeah.
that I always have bad days when I go if I might cum coffee.
That's what I'm saying, man. I think when
It can't be a coincidence.
it's disgusting to start your day without Come Coffee. I think you need to have that in your system. You know, you need to share Come Coffee with other people.
Yeah.
You just have to.
Come get some coffee.
And then yeah, so I was looking around and I looked down. There was 2 books that I could have chose from, right? It was this one, The Good Asian, the writer being Pornsak Pichetshote, and I hope I say that right, but I'm gonna spell it just in case I didn't. His first name Pornsak, last name Pichetshote. He's from Thailand. What's it called? And that one, and there was a book about Jewish foods history, written in comic book form that I do want to pick up, actually.
Okay.
Not the best time to grab that book. I know that. But it looked cool as fuck. And it was actually very interesting looking. But I grabbed this one. And very interestingly enough, recently on the day of Lunar New Year when it happened, I think last Saturday. Go ahead, Fachoy, right?
Yes.
What's it called? I asked Beatrice to pick me up volume 2 of The Good Asian, right? And I texted her because she was in the city, I think near Barnes and Nobles. And she was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that on Lunar New Year." And I was like, oh. Fuck. I was like, "Please."
You're like, but you're not Asian.
Yeah. And that was really fucking funny, right? Because I had just finished reading volume 1, which is great. And we'll get more into the story. But I want to talk about the title real quick. I saw the book, The Good Asian, and I saw the title. And it appealed to me because it was such a odd name to me for a book, right? I don't know what it meant. I thought it was funny.
I thought it would have done the opposite to you.
Like kind of dissuade me to get it. So that's actually very interesting. So before this, I listened to the podcast. I think, let me actually look that up because I don't want to. They were very interesting to listen to. Not better than Earth Matter. I mean, they're good and all, but they weren't fucking that good.
Like, do they got like books on the camera angles? Like, come on.
I think low key they did though.
Yo, shut up, man.
Let me look up who they are real quick. But one of the questions they asked Pornsak is one. What's it called? The title, right? The title name and what he meant to do with that, and how a lot of like maybe white people or people who aren't Asian could have seen that title and been like offended by it or this and that, right?
Yeah, because I feel personally it like that even without knowing that, I felt like that the title was chosen very deliberately, where it's just kind of like they wanted it to be somewhat polarizing,
eye-catching almost, and everything.
Where it's just it can stir the pot a little bit and maybe upset some people, but I think that's what this book was made to do.
Yeah. Well, and one thing that he mentioned, Pornsak, and by the way, the name of the podcast is Storied Arcs. It's very good. They talk about only comic books from what I've seen only. And I think it's fucking awesome because it's pretty much the first podcast I listened to that wasn't this, I guess. But it was only centered on comic books. And they got an interview with Pornsak. And I thought it was a great interview because they really spoke well with him. And apparently with his titles, he does those last. Because for a title, he picks them very due to like the context of the story and this and that and all that. And basically, he was saying, this is like a gist, because I didn't take notes, I listened to it on the way here, but that the good Asian is basically something that Asians would recognize, right? Like what they see it as, what they're supposed to be. And this is not to like go into the story, but in the second volume, David Cho, an artist, opens up with a little like introduction, right? And he comes out very strong with the introduction. But he says what a good Asian is supposed to be is one that doesn't center himself, he doesn't individualize himself. It's more so about the family, like what do you bring to the table for your family,
right? And
then you become successful, and then you get rich, and then while you're rich, you like kind of belittle the people who kind of shunned you in the past and this and that. And that's what it means to be a good Asian. And to be a bad Asian would be one to like venture into the arts or to venture into comic books or anything that isn't in the realm of something studious that'll, lead you to how can I say, fortune and a respectful title that you bring towards your family.
Right.
And it's crazy because I was speaking to a friend that I work with who happens to be Asian. And when I mentioned the phrase good Asian, he literally, it's almost incredible that he said exactly what David Cho said without like, when he was like, yeah, like what it means to be Asian is like, and he said what David Cho said in the introduction.
Wow.
And yeah, that was fucking crazy, bro. Cause when I heard that, I was like, what? And mind you, like, obviously I'm Mexican, you're Colombian, Dominican. We have no idea what it's like to be Asian in America or in general.
Yeah.
And so when I heard that, I was like, that's fucking insane. Mind you, the person I was talking to was Korean. I forget what David Cho is. I don't know if he's Korean. I have no idea. But Pornsak is Thai, and the people in Storied Arcs, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't get to see them, but I think one of them is Asian. So okay. I think they were really emphatic. They kept saying like, okay, 2 more questions about the good Asian, but they went on to like 6 more questions. But you could tell how excited he was about the book.
Okay, so like, and then,
and but it's really fucking dope. And picking up the book and just reading it, I think. Just brief little, not synopsis, but just my intake of it. I just thought it was a very simple story. Not that it's simple where it's like, oh, it's this and this and this. It is a noir, so it is a mystery kind of detective 2-volume story.
Right.
But it's very like you can just really read it so quickly. Like you don't need to like take a break or nothing. Like I read the whole second volume in one sitting and probably in a span of like 2 hours or something like that.
I mean, it's only 10 issues in total,
Yeah, man.
so it's even for like for more traditional miniseries that kind of go to 12 issues.
Yeah.
This is only 10 issues,
Yeah.
so it's a pretty quick read.
And do you mind taking out the book unless you have it written down and reading who the letterer is, the color, and
I got you.
Yeah, it's in like the third page or some shit. But
Yeah, so the artist for volume 1 is Alexandre Tefenkgi. The colorist is Lef Lueride. The letterer and designer is Jeff Powell, and the cover artist is Dave Johnson. And they also have a historical consultant, a part of the team, Grant Din, and some companies, not companies, but some comic studios as well, where they have logo designers and production people.
Okay.
This person is Erica Schnatz. So like, and I think that's always interesting when people do that, because that's something that I was told by James Tynan, who wrote The Department of Truth, where he said it's good in today's climate to have merchandise to go with like your comics and stuff. Where for the Department of Truth, when that started coming out, he started selling pins of the Department of Truth logo. So, and I have one of those pins, which is pretty dope. But you got it. Other way. Yeah. But yeah, so it's just, I think it's really interesting. And what's so cool about this too is that Will Dennis is the editor to this, and Will Dennis is an amazing editor. I hope one day I get to work with him.
Nice.
And I've met him a couple of times now.
That's awesome. Where at Comic-Con or in general? Like
at Comic-Con, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it's just and I've talked to him and stuff, and he always says that he's keeping his eye out on Kickstarters and stuff like that. And I told him about my book and stuff like that. So it's just,
that's fucking awesome.
Who knows?
Yeah, man. And but I think that's the best thing about getting to meet these people is that you get to fucking really be excited to find out about them, learn about them. Hold on, I think I put the camera in the wrong angle.
I mean, you want both books? You can have both books.
My bad. And actually, for me, that's what I figured, that you'd be more familiar with the names here, because I know a bunch of them are associated with comic books in the past and this and that, have worked on other things. I keep hearing when I was listening, Vertigo. This is the company, or Vertigo is a different comic book?
Vertigo is an imprint from DC. So
Sandman was part of Vertigo, right?
Yeah. Okay. So this is an Image Comics book. So I think the only other Image Comics we've looked at is probably Sex Criminals.
So, okay, have you heard of, was it Day Killers?
Day Killers?
Yeah. I might have messed up the name. These are things I just learned about in the interview, but apparently it's another book that I think he edited on. Pornsak. But I'm missing out because I really wanted to get in more so the Good Asian, because we're gonna be talking about it. But one thing I didn't know about editing whatsoever, because I figured it's in the title. You edit, other people's work, and you give the advice, and you don't just take it in and be like, fix this, and this. But he described it in such a way that was very interesting. Pornsak. He said when somebody comes to him for editing, they usually before that tell him what they want to bring about in the story, right? And so later on during the process of editing the stuff, he asked them, he's like, hey, like that thing that you wanted to do, what you wanted to bring about in your story, are you still trying to do that? And the author or the creator could be like, yeah, I'm still trying to do that. He's like, okay, where are you trying to do that? Because I don't particularly see it, and that's where I come in. And I was like, oh shit, like that's such a great way to put it, like it's not like saying like, oh no, I think you need to do this and this. And it's more so saying like, look, you mentioned you wanted this to come across. Let me help you understand that I'm not seeing what you're wanting to do right now. I thought that was awesome.
That is like the job of an editor for sure. Where I've definitely heard plenty of conversations of other creators talk about this. Like one in mine is Tom King. Yeah. Where when he first started writing Batman, he did about an 80-issue arc or 80-issue run on Batman. Yeah. Almost 90, I think. But the first like 20 issues or so were a little rough. They weren't the best of the run. And after those first 20 issues or so, there was a change in editors, and he's gone on a record on saying at a panel before where he's like, and if it wasn't for, like, I forget her name, but they were like, if it wasn't for this editor, like I definitely would not have found the direction I needed for my Batman run. And it's just, I guess for like you said, for some people, they don't really think about what that takes to be an editor, like how you are essentially not molding someone to be something that you want, but helping them mold themselves
and get what you wanted to come across in general to sprout in your own work and everything. So Yeah, man. I mean, to be honest, I was very unaware. I feel like it's not that I wasn't aware. It was just that some things seem so obvious, and then when they're explained to you in a specific way, you tend to grasp it. And I have for how he came about it, you know, because I don't know. I think it's important because if you don't have that guidance, your story can come out completely wrong, and then you just don't know. You're like, what did I do wrong? And you need other people to help you bring your shit come to life and everything. And I think that's crazy. So, what's it called?
What is it called, Frankie?
I don't know.
What the fuck is it called, dog? what is it called? All I'm saying is, man, we're talking about the Good Asian.
Hell yeah.
And it's just, but it was edited by a white guy.
By a white guy. Hell yeah, bro. That was a good one. Nah, sorry. I kind of lost my track because my battery is like, oh my God, what the fuck? But fuck it. We're going to keep on going.
What about the charger that's there, dog?
I'm charging it, but this says battery not charging. I'm so confused. It keeps going from 1% to 3%. I'm so confused, bro. So confused. So if it happens to die, you're going to have to read me my notes, bro. We're going to fucking go through this because we're going to figure it out. Ultimately, we're going to talk about the Good Asian in the story. And I think the beginning starts off really crazy because it tells you about the band in San Francisco, or I think in the U.S. in general.
San Francisco. Well, I mean, yeah, in the U.S. in general, but it focuses in San Francisco.
Yeah. And I just want to read two things real quick because this is what kind of hooked me when I picked it up from the Strand. And I was like, ooh, what is this about? And it's Edison narrating, being in San Fran 1996. And he says, gold. Mention it and boom, folks will forgive anything. Take San Francisco, the Golden Gate City. People get so distracted by the golden, they ignore it's a gate. They ignore why it's a gate, because gates are built for peace of mind, to keep things out so you never ever have to think. I thought that shit was fucking fire, bro. That shit hooked me in when he said that, and about was trying to get in. That's what he says, and I was like,
it was such a strong opening.
Hell yeah,
like,
bro.
His writing is just incredible. I think it's so poetic, and it's just I think in general, just his writing really speaks to sort of the noir pulp style.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Where it feels like such a classic comic book, but done so modernly.
Yeah. Hell yeah, bro. And even that was, I think, what intrigued me. And then what hooked me, like what really hooked me, and I was like, I gotta buy this book, is when it says, in 1882, the U.S. passed a ban on Chinese immigrants, blaming them for the 1874 Depression. In 1924, the Johnson-Reed Act expanded the ban to include Asians and Arabs. By 1936, over half a century after the original ban, the Chinese was the first generation to come of age under an immigration ban. And that's when I was like, I gotta read this shit, bro. I gotta fucking get this shit in my system. And also, this is just a side note.
You took this book and you said, yes, please.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry.
I told you, I don't ever want to see you do that.
I just got my library card. I just wanted to
fucking talk about Gen Z over here.
No, I got my library card. I'm so excited. Right now I'm reading a book by Seishi something. He's a Japanese writer. He's writing about like a murder mystery that's happening. So good. But there's a big thing that I almost bought this book also at the Strand. And I was like, nah, let me just get it by the library because it's cheaper and I can get it that way. But comic books, even though digitally on an iPad seems the best way to read them, but on a laptop or whatever, comic books seem like the only form of book that I want to buy and have it in my hand. Seriously, man, because like other books, you know, unless it has like illustrations that you really want to cherish in person, you really just want to read the story. And if the library, bro, why are you buying books, bro? The library got them, bro. Well, I feel like an episode of Arthur.
I like buying books just because it's like I like to just
the physical feeling.
Like,
of,
I like
you
to
can
have,
borrow books.
I like to have my collection. Is what it is.
Of like, but I mean the comic books I'll buy. But I'm talking about like novels.
I know,
like
even for novels, like I'm still like that. Like, I like to collect my books.
My life has changed, bro. I'm gonna be borrowing from the library all the time because it makes me want to read it quick. And like right now, I have 16 days left to read this book, but I'm so
16 days till you die.
Yeah. So someone dies in the book, and I'm so fucking captivated, right? That I want to fucking read it. So get your library card, bro. Stop being a little bitch. Stop being a little bitch, bro. Get your library card, bitch. Anyway, back to the Good Asian. The Good Asian basically revolves around the detective called Edison Hark. Edison Hark is Chinese, and he was living in Hawaii, but he comes back to San Francisco because of a maid that went missing, Ivy Chen. And Ivy Chen worked in the household of the Carraways. The Carraways are a very rich family in San Francisco during this era of the 1930s. And funny enough, the head of the Carraways, Mason, the father of the two kids, Frankie and Victoria, he came from a background being Irish, and Irish people were looked at as kind of like savages also, the same way Chinese people are looked at now.
Right.
In this time. So he already kind of understands, empathizes with this whole culture of hate and like segregation. But when he was younger, he was he with Edison's mom, or Edison's mom was working for him?
Edison's mom was working for him.
So when another worker of his passed away, she was murdered, right? And that happened to be the mother of Edison Hark, the detective who comes into play. Mason felt terrible, so he takes in Edison as one of his own. And so now the household consists of Mason, Frankie, Victoria, and the taken in child, Edison. Basically, the family consisting of 3 Irish people and 1 Chinese addition.
Yeah, and the Victoria is just kind of a bitch.
Yeah, OD. We'll find that. But basically, one of the maids, he ends up falling in love with Ivy. And she goes missing, and so Mason has like a heart attack, and it goes in a coma or some shit like that. And Edison has to find Ivy Chen, which is basically where the whole story kind of rises. Through his whole venture of searching for Ivy, he comes across a dead body in the alleyway due to a kid being in front. And ultimately the story picks up from there. And the body was killed in a way that the legend assassin Hui Long would kill people, like gouge eyes out.
On some Jack the Ripper type
LD,
shit.
yeah. And so basically everybody suspects that there's an Asian assassin coming around killing white people. And Edison figured that if this came out in the news, that Asians would be in real trouble in Chinatown and in San Fran because of it being an Asian killer and already the hate that's clouding all the people that live within there.
They're like,
oh shit, here we go again.
Basically, bro. And that's pretty much a brief synopsis to like the story, like kind of beginning, because I don't want to go through it like word for word, because I think the story in itself brings a lot of conversation, but that sets the bridge for what's to come. What I mean?
I also think as we tackle these comic episodes moving forward for season 2, we shouldn't just give the whole rundown of the story.
Don't spoil what's happening.
Don't spoil what's going
That's what
on.
I'm thinking.
Motherfuckers, just read this shit.
Yeah, because we want
just fucking read this shit.
Because I think also as say you're a creator, say you write a big huge book and we cover it huge and then we just give away the ending, so that's why actually I'm happy you said that, because I didn't want to give away the ending. I didn't want to talk, obviously if you read the book and we're going to discuss parts of it as well, but especially it being a noir, giving away the ending is literally destroying the whole book.
Immediately, reading this, I was just kind of like, how are we really going to talk about this?
Yeah.
But in terms of the plot, that is. But it's just like, kind of like what you were saying before, is that this is kind of a simple movie book. Is that the reason why I almost said movies, because I'm thinking, or I was going to relate it to our last A.M.C. episode where we covered Mad Max.
Hell yeah.
And how we were talking a lot about how that movie also has a very simple plot.
Yes.
And it's just, this book is another example of that. When you have such a simple plot, everything else can just flourish around it. And the character development, incredible throughout this book. The writing, again, like I was saying, the poetry of it all, just beautiful.
Visually astounding.
The art is just fantastic.
So good.
The
variant covers are fucking beautiful.
Oh my god, yeah, the variant covers are fucking dope. Holy shit.
I have a couple favorites. One being in volume 2, the first one, where it's a Hawaiian skeleton kind of hula hooing, and then Edison is right in front. And there's so many of it. Some of them are so simple. One of them David Cho drew himself, which is great because, man, I won't lie to you, man. The first time I ever heard David Cho speak was in Joe Rogan's podcast.
Okay.
Ever heard of it?
I don't think so.
People talk about this guy.
What's it on?
I think Spotify.
Spotify.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know.
Sorry, I use YouTube Music.
Yeah, me too. Fuck you. I actually do use YouTube Music.
I know you do.
I try to play around with you, bro. You out here hurting my feelings. Fell into that one. No, but I heard David Cho talking on Joe Rogan, and I was like, damn, this guy's obnoxious as fuck, bro. Like, he just comes out, he came out with like some face paint on his whatever, and I just really looked at him like, damn, this guy's obnoxious, man. If you don't know who David Cho is, one of his biggest like marks in history of his life, I guess, that he was asked he was asked to paint for Facebook's, I think, headquarters. and I think he was offered either money or a bunch of Facebook stock. And he took the Facebook stock, and he became fucking rich.
Wow.
And he said, "Fuck the system, I got money, bitch."
Nice.
And I thought that was awesome. But still, even then, I was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And then
Who the fuck is you?
I saw him in the show Beef, which is a great fucking show. I wish we did our movies, comics, and shows.
Yeah.
A.M.C's.
Hey,
but
bonus episodes.
hell yeah, bro.
Ooh.
But Beef is such a great show, such a show you wouldn't expect. And I think it also plays on to the good Asian aspect where when you watch Beef, you're like, okay, it's a show about Asian people. What's it going to be about? And all these motherfuckers are like basically like, well, I think also a big stereotype that revolves Asians is that they're very quiet. They're very in their own lane, very abiding to society and this and that. Unless you go to Flushing Main Street, then you're like, what the fuck is going on here, bro? No, I'm kidding. But then you watch the show. I mean, it's not to say all of them, and nobody here in this table thinks that.
In this table.
I can't speak for motherfuckers at other tables. But I think it's such a fucking great show, and he plays a minor but great character as far as I've gotten. And then I don't know, man. Just seeing, I think what really finalized it for me, because I was like, man, I've never seen his art. And when I read the introduction in Volume 2, and then I seen the first variant that he did himself, I was like, this guy is a great artist. Like, this guy really did something beautiful. And I was wondering, like, if I wanted to, I can like try to kind of draw the skeleton one, because it's like kind of easy to just like visualize, draw. But to really recreate the David Cho one is so difficult, because it's almost watercolory and like so like that's when you separate like art from like creation, like, you know, super specific, unique, personal creation, and it's an obstruction to what you think is reality, you know.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
incredible.
David Cho has always been a pretty great artist, and
yeah,
like
bro.
from what I've been familiar with his work and stuff. So it's like, you know, his variant covers fucking beautiful.
Oh yeah, bro.
Great. I'm forgetting the other person's name, like Tanika Samada, something like that.
Tefenkgi?
No, I think it might. You know what? I think it might have been the variant of the
one
first
of the variants?
issue.
I didn't. That's my one thing that I didn't do. Actually, I feel bad is I didn't read the names of the variant artists, but I was too into reading the book. You know what
Here
I
we
mean?
go. Sana Takeda. This variant to issue 1.
Yeah.
So sick.
Hell
like,
yeah.
look at this, guys. Like this fucking variant cover, and I'll throw it on the widescreen too.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
Throw a bunch of the variants, because
boom, boom, boom.
that's actually one of the
like
things
that.
David Cho said. He was like, make sure you buy the individual issues, because the artwork is so beautiful, and there's things in there that aren't included in both volumes.
Yeah.
I was gonna say at the end, but actually, one of the next thing Pornsak is gonna release, or I think it's already released, is a hardcover of the both issues. It's all in one. It's called The Good Asian 1936, and they include both of the books all in one, because he said that's how he always intended on it being read that way, all together, and it includes a bunch more variant covers, the process of it coming out, and this and that. I think that's fucking awesome, man.
Hell yeah.
And
I think I might just wait for that to.
Yeah. It might be out already, but if not, I mean, if you're interested in this book, really fucking read it. I mean, I know you are, but if you're listening and you just want to pick up a comic book for the first time or in a while, just get this shit, man. It's fucking good, bro. I think this was a really cool comic book also, man, because I think I was very interested in it. Especially hearing him talk a little more, because this guy's super chill. Like, he's super chill. He'd be cursing in the podcast. In the podcast we mentioned earlier, they don't curse, so they bleep out his things. But even in his interviews, he's cursing and this and that. Kind of a rebellion, you know what I mean, in the way he's spoken. But he's super creative, and apparently he also says that these books are very difficult to write.
Oh, I bet.
He said that, like, you'll expect more. There's more to come of this good Asian universe, but he says, please bear with me. Like, it's gonna take a long time, because one, he said it was hard for him to stay in this world of the good Asian of like the time period. Like, it's hard. It's very straining mentally on him.
I bet.
And it's very difficult to gather all the historical like input to like apply. And I was like, shit, man.
The fact that they had a historical consultant on the fucking book, it's like, just goes to show how much work went into making sure that like they were historically accurate in terms of the entire story.
Like, mad props, because some people would just like glance past that. Like, even funny enough, Napoleon by Stanley Kubrick. A lot of people, right? Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott.
Yeah. Whoops. What's it called? he got criticized a lot for that movie not being historical.
And he basically told people to go touch grass.
Yeah, I like that movie, man. It wasn't like fucking like holy shit, but I liked it. I enjoyed it, and there was a lot of parts where I was like, "This is fucking badass, bro." I fucking shout out Joaquin Phoenix, bro. I enjoyed it very much, and very long movie, very historical movie. I would say that taste.
My favorite part of Napoleon is when he goes into the fridge and comes out and realizes that nothing was actually real and he's not Napoleon.
And then he just puts the lipstick on his face and he starts dancing because he's so skinny. And he's just like, in the society. I can't scream today for shit, bro. My throat is fucked.
God, I hate that. I hate that so much.
There is a couple of things that he's mentioned on The Good Asian that he's covered in different articles. This one I'll put in. The article is
Pornsak Pichetshote unpacks the fiery twist and the good Asian.
More than just being a genre femme. Fatale. How do you say that? FEMME FATALE. Femme fatale. Femme fatale.
Femme fatal.
Femme fatal. I know Velvet Underground has a song called this. And this is a very famous
I'm not
song.
entirely sure. You know, just even thinking about that, I once read like a meme or something where someone was like, "Oh, something about reading like a lot is that sometimes you like read words for the first time and just don't know how to pronounce it because you've never heard it said
But you
out
just
loud."
see it there, right?
Yeah.
And everything. I'm gonna look it up right now because
I've only ever seen the word. I've never actually heard someone say it.
I know Velvet Underground has that song, and then I think a song called Heroin. Shout out Velvet Underground. Damn, my internet. I mean, my laptop is just so fucking old. Femme fatale, an attractive and seductive woman, especially one who is likely to cause distress or disaster to a man who becomes involved with her. All right, so Victoria.
So you.
And this is the pronunciation. Hold on. Well, femme fatale. What the fuck? Come on. Femme fatale.
Ah.
All right, so now we all learned something today. Okay, so basically they're asking him about Victoria, which again, no spoiler. This really isn't a spoiler. I mean, a little bit, just a little bit.
Just a little sprinkle.
A little.
Just
So-
a little.
So more than just being a genre femme fatale, what does Victoria symbolize and bring to the good Asian? And he responds, for me, it was the idea that no 1 or 2 millionaires could turn the tide of this institutionalized racism that put them in power by oppressing other people. It takes much more than that. Their hubris in thinking that they have never been told no, that they could make a safe haven where none of the influence from people that we touch makes them more of a product for harm than good. That's what I wanted to get through all of them. Victoria is the most culpable, and in many ways, she's the biggest victim of it. Of all 3 of them, she's the one who has the most sincere desire for the most change, and yet the power that she has is used against her by her own good intentions. First of all, great answer. That's fucking great answer. You know what I mean?
Well spoken.
Well, deep, bro. I was like, what the
Goddamn
fuck?
well-spoken.
I haven't sounded this good in a fucking while, man. But I think for those who have read it, that'll make perfect sense. But I also think if you haven't, you can't. There's notes of that really do speak to today, and also people who are like very wealthy who try to be progressive, but also kind of in that route of being progressive, they kind of almost seem like not foolish, but almost like useless or not really. You know what I'm trying to say?
You know, I just feel like we need to be talking about the political and economical
Yo,
state of the
shut
world.
fuck- That's what you need as a soundboard.
But I mean,
Shout out Jaden.
you know, Jaden Smith is like probably a huge example of that.
The biggest, actually.
So
yeah.
it's just, I definitely know what you're getting at with that, and what Pornsak is also getting.
Yeah,
at
that's
it.
actually, hey, you're right. Jaden Smith is pretty much box water and this and that.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of, even Steve-O, who's a huge activist for like animal rights and everything. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm just going to go vegan, man. Like, you know, yeah, man. I was like, all right. But it's also like, it's so easy to be vegan, vegetarian, or like, or unless you're Taylor Swift, who uses a bunch of carbon emissions and this and that.
If it's so easy to be vegan, Frankie, then fucking do it.
But it's expensive to be vegan, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's expensive to be
expensive.
vegan.
It's expensive
I mean,
as
you
fuck.
saved $100 not getting that adapter,
I'm not gonna lie to you. I did.
so you can go vegan. Just saying.
What's it called? He also wrote about Alexandre Tefenkgi. That's how you say his name, Tefenkgi. And he says, me and Alex are a little more disciplined. We'll just have the weekend. We'll have weekend calls where it's all social and not about work. He's great, and you can see how brilliant he is on the page. And he's also such a professional. The first issue is 32 pages, and it took him 6 months to draw. But he lives in 3 different countries. He got COVID during that time. He did it through all that, and that's just a testament to his discipline. And he's just the nicest guy.
Goddamn.
So I want you to speak on that because I know you draw comics, you make comics, you do all that stuff. What do you, when someone hears it takes 6 months to draw 32 pages, like, does it make sense, or is that too much, or is that too little?
That's insane to me.
That's
like,
right.
Yeah, because like, but you know, it's also just I constantly ask artists all the time whenever I go to Comic-Con how long it takes him.
Yeah.
And like even for someone, I don't think we've looked at his art yet. Clayman is his name. But he takes forever to draw his stuff. Like he's told me about how like it can be so sporadic where it's like drawing a certain scene can be super easy for him, but once it comes to drawing the person's face, he'll spend like days on that
because he wants it to come out just right, the detail with this and that.
And
I guess you're just really specific with how you want your work to be, because some people will probably be like, I'm fine with how it came out with. And some people are like, no, it needs to be perfect. And every single thing needs to be perfect.
There is that level of like perfectionism as well as just like your speed, like your general speed, because like drawing is a muscle that you build. And in my experience, I definitely have gotten a lot faster at drawing. Like before, when I first started making comics, now it's gonna be 4 years since I started making comics. But when I first started making my comics, it would take me about a month to finish a page. The last comic that I did was 6 pages, and I completed that in the span of about 3 or 4 months. Okay, so
that's great. So for him to do in 6 months 32 pages to like come out for, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah, so that is pretty nutty to hear that. But that's the goal. Like I definitely want to get to that level or like that speed one day without like, because it's a very difficult thing to try to balance your speed while also like pertaining quality. So it's just it's a skinny tightrope.
Yeah, no, I imagine for me, someone that doesn't draw at all, like really when it comes to that, like I'll doodle a little bit.
Oh, you doodle, dog?
I'll doodle a little bit.
You doodle?
I'll be doodling, dog.
You doodle though?
Yeah, but I can imagine, man. The other day I tried to draw soup dumplings, and then I was drawing. It came out pretty alright.
Nice.
And then I made one little mistake, and I was like, whatever. Let me just fuck everything up. So I just started drawing a bunch of fucking crazy stuff and everything, but nothing like insanely nice. I was just like, let me just doodle, you know. Because I don't have that perfectionism. And I won't say I gave up so fast. It's just I'm not an artist myself. So I was just like, fuck it, well, let me just fuck it up. But I can imagine that, like, if you want to get something right, and just to have shit like animation, you know, now you don't have to draw over and over again, right? But for some things you do, right? Some things you have to keep drawing one, kind of like claymation, where you put in one thing, then you move it a little bit, and then you move it a little bit, and this and that. I do like the process of claymation very much, though. Oh yeah, because that's so specific, and you kind of are able to get away with the messiness of it and how it comes out. It could be a major film done through claymation, and the characters won't move as smoothly, but that's the whole point, because you understand the process. Like
Wallace and Gromit, Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Like, I want to see Fantastic Mr. Fox is the guy who did Asteroid City. Asteroid City, right? Yeah. What's his name?
Wes Anderson.
There we go. I want to see that movie because I always hear good things, but I never watched it.
It's a good ass movie, and I fucking love the Wallace and Gromit movies.
Wallace and Gromit. That's for the sheep and everything.
Well, Shaun the Sheep is a separate.
Wallace and Gromit is the big nose guy and everything.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah, bro.
Fucking love me some Wallace and Gromit.
They did Chicken Run too?
I think they also did Chicken Run. I think maybe that could have been a different studio. No, I think it was a different studio actually.
Okay. Well, still fuck. And then at Coraline is fucking good.
And that studio that made Coraline, they also made like Kubo and the Two Strings. Beautiful fucking movie. Never seen that. Nightmare Before Christmas was claymation or animated? I think that one might have been claymation.
Yeah, it's insane, bro. It's insane how you're able to do that stuff. That's one of my favorite forms of filmmaking that I wish I can do in the future. That sounds incredible, bro. That sounds.
There's a music video from Pup for a single called Anaphylaxis. Great music video. That's awesome. So good.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah. So real quick, back to like him talking about the next Good Asian book. I kind of summed it up, but I'll put it in his words. He says, the only downside to that is that the stories inherently I tend to be drawn to are the stories that haven't been necessarily. I read that way. I'll say it again. The only downside to that is that the stories inherently I tend to be drawn to are the stories that haven't been necessarily been written about. That was kind of weird. As a result, it takes a lot of prep time and research to get to the point when I can write one of these things. It's going to take time, and I apologize to everyone in advance. I know exactly what I want the thing to be about, and it's so hard to find anything written about it. So, like the first book, I'm going to be reading a bunch of things to get the puzzle together. Okay, so basically he wants a reference, but there's no reference. Right. So he needs to find a way to still get that accurately in terms of historical.
Yeah, like it hasn't been written about enough, so it's like there's not a lot of reference, so he has to really dig for it.
Exactly. Damn, man. I just think first of all, I know we're talking about him here, but definitely again, storied arcs. Check out that podcast and listen to this interview. It's very fucking good. Just want to we'll go back to that. But yeah, he also at one point he talks about, this is a different interview, but he separates the beginning to the first volume to the second volume, and how the first volume is more of a mystery and what's happening, and then the second volume is more of a thriller, how it's like it's all occurring,
Right.
you know. And
Yeah,
I think
that makes sense.
and the separation of the two makes for such a good story. But I think it's incredible, man. Anything else you want to say more of the comic? Because I really want to talk about the historical things in the back, bro.
I mean, just in terms of the comic itself, like, if I remember correctly, this was sort of their debut comic, right?
I'm not sure.
Or-
That's one thing I'm not sure about.
It
did win an Eisner
Yes.
Award. It won an Eisner Award.
Yeah. But I think I remember saying before, is just I remember when this comic first came out at the time, and
Yeah.
it's just I didn't pick it up because I was still in college and broke and just couldn't buy every comic I wanted.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
No, I'm kidding. DraftKings, bro.
but I was always interested and curious about this book, and so I was really glad that we finally got to check it out.
Yeah.
And it was a great read. It's just like harking back to what I said before, just it is such a classic noir tale,
Yeah.
just done so modernly.
Yeah. Wow.
For its simplicity in its plot, just leaves so much room for other things to be spoken about, which is what we're going to be talking about now, all the historical context of
Yeah.
this book, because I think what this book is that it's a history lesson in disguise,
Yeah.
and it really teaches
Very
you,
much heavy toned of history too. You know.
like it really teaches you about history of this time, while also being a noir detective story.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think the selling point is that it's a detective story, but really the meat of it is the historical context of it all.
Almost subliminal, you know.
Yeah.
Because that's what I found myself really being intrigued because of the book, just because it's insane. And to most listeners that are hearing this, like usually we will talk about the subject matter of the album, movie, or comic, especially with albums because there's no spoilers. But some movies, some comics, movies I guess also because it's one sitting and this and that. But comic books also, when it comes to this, especially something in the sense of like mystery and blah blah blah. And the comic book is so much more longer than both an album and a movie.
Yeah.
Like a comic book, especially a thick one, like Watchmen, like that'll take like fucking forever to cover.
Yeah.
And I think the largest comic we did was what?
Probably Dark Knight Returns, maybe.
Yeah, man. And so definitely this is a cool way to reform the way we kind of attack the comic books.
Yeah.
Like kind of, you know what I mean?
And I'll just say one last thing is just I remember because I told you how recently Josh and I just started collaborating on a story together. I remember when he and I first talked about making comics together, because he comes from a background of making film and stuff.
Nice.
Like he went to school for screenwriting,
Okay.
screenplay, and when we first started talking about like making a comic together, he was asking me, he was like, okay, so how is the format? Like, how do you write a comic script? Like, what is it, like a page a minute? And I was like, I mean. You can't like measure how fast someone reads. It's like, everyone reads at their own pace.
And sometimes you got to reread shit over and over again. That's what it took for me. Because I remember I think there's a lot of points in the book, I will say, where he'll kind of introduce somebody without really mentioning that they're even in the picture. Like he'll speak of like a certain character that comes in and then introduce them kind of halfway into it already occurring. I want to say that more so about Lucy. I think Lucy Fan, when she's talking with her Baba and apartment and stuff like that. I mean, that was a pretty quick introduction, but many times in the volume 2, I'm like, who is he talking about? And then I just kept reading. I'm like, oh, like this is how he intends for it to be read.
I mean,
so.
that's definitely like the detective storytelling aspect of it, of just like the whole like inner monologue and narration of just like, now I'm going to meet so and so and this and that. They're a dangerous person living on the rough side of town.
Like, who the fuck are they talking about?
Yeah, so it's just that's the detective like storytelling aspect of it, which is just again the poetry, like the poet, like it's so poetic. It's so cool.
It's a good fucking read. V for Vendetta.
Hell yeah.
Hell my god, bro. That's a good fucking read. That one also got me a little confused throughout because it's a very long book and it isn't that. But also like in this just the gist of it, that's a good fucking read. Jesus Christ, that book is good. I forgot I fucking had that shit. I remember I bought a version of it. I got drunk and lost it. So terrible. And then I bought another version and then I read the whole thing.
What's the date in the quote that they say? Remember the
I forget. That one I forget. It's been a while, but let me look it up.
I want to say it's like remember the 5th of March, some shit like that.
V or Vendetta. Did you like the movie? I liked it.
I never saw the movie.
What, bro?
Yeah.
Remember.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that before.
The 5th of November.
The 5th of November.
Yeah, remember the 5th of November. The gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason why I don't know. But yeah, that's a great read. That's just one thing.
It is.
Can you pass me the first book real quick?
Gotcha.
The only thing I wanted to read to really kind of bring off the historical notes, and obviously the book's called The Good Asian, but just so like anybody listening that isn't Asian, just like me, I just want to read this.
Just like me.
Us. No, man. Sorry. But I do also want to say this. I think this is very mature and awesome, Pornsak to do this, because he says
mature and awesome. Hell yeah.
He says that he puts a history timeline on immigration in the back of the book, and he says this. He says, while The Good Asian deals primarily with Chinese immigration, it's important to understand America's perception of non-whites, immigrants, and immigration leading up to 1936. Presented below is abbreviated and admittedly somewhat arbitrary timeline stringing together some of the most important years, laws, and events which form the story's backdrop. So I think, again, you write all this historical occurrences in a tone that I guess angers him, and also like in a way that he's like, I'm not going to put it so neutral. I'm going to put it in a way where it's like, no, this is what fucking happened. Right. And it sucks. I'm not going to, like
sugarcoat it.
Exactly. And this is for anybody that's non-Asian, Mexican, basically. This is for all the Mexicans. I want you to hear this.
If you're Venezuelan, you're Mexican.
Basically all Hispanics, Mexicans. Between 1929 and 1936, Mexican repatriation. Mexican repatriation. A variety of small farmers, progressives, labor unions, eugenicists, and racists had called for restrictions on Mexican immigration, feeling they were taking away jobs and blaming them for exacerbating the Depression. President Herbert Hoover, promising American jobs for Americans, slashed immigration by nearly 90% and launched a mass deportation of Mexicans and Mexican Americans. Roughly 1.8 million men, women, and children were deported, an estimated 60% of those American birthright citizens. So when I read that shit, man, and mind you, reading that whole thing, all these fucking facts are crazy, but because they were all, and this is a timeline, so that's already later in the timeline. But when I read that shit, man, that shit fucking blew my mind. Basically, because motherfuckers were upset about like their jobs and all that stuff, whatever, they deported a bunch of Mexicans, more than half of them being born in the U.S.
Yeah,
and this was done by the president.
Yep.
And I remember when I told that to somebody, fuck yeah. When I told that to somebody, I was like, I said it, and they were like, "That's illegal," and I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty much
that's illegal."
Yeah, man. And I have a couple things here. I don't know if you have the book in front of you or the historical notes.
I don't.
But oh shit! Oh, pass me the book back then. I have a lot, and I told myself I'm not gonna read all of them. But I'm gonna read a bunch of them. All right, just cause. But what did you? I know you said you had a background already in a bunch of this like subject matter. But what did you think, and what did you learn that was new? If you did learn anything that was new, or what surprised you, or this and that.
Well, I remember I read a story back in college about this girl who talked about her experience like in San Francisco as well and whatnot, and talked a lot about how the racism she and her family met when they first came to this country and stuff.
Hi, I'm hi racism, nice to meet you.
Right?
Sorry.
It's like, hey, racist.
Hey.
But and so I thought a lot about that, like when it came to reading the book in general and just looking at some of the historical facts. Yeah. And God, I would need to look at them to really point out like one that really stuck out to me.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot.
Yeah, bro, it's like almost crazy.
It's like a fucking textbook at the end, honestly.
Yeah, and you just keep reading because you're like, what the fuck, bro?
And so, and honestly, I crammed all this like in one sitting.
No, of course, yeah.
So it's really hard for me to like pinpoint exactly what.
I completely understand, man, because that's usually me when we cover comic books. It's hard for me to like get everything in and like produce it ready for the show and stuff. But this is one of the books where I was like, yo, I can literally tell this whole story right now, like back to like
Yo,
front
man,
to back, man.
Look how the turntables have turned.
Yeah, basically, bro. And funny enough, the one fucking episode we don't talk about the whole story. But if you ever want to have a discussion, anybody who listens to this with the good Asian, I'm here. But there's so much facts at the back of the book, even pictures of the camps that like Chinese people who were waiting, like what's it called? You know, what's it like? They were basically waiting to get into the country, and only a certain amount of people could get in, especially people who were like workers or teachers and this and that.
What was the name of the island again?
I'll tell you right now. That one I don't remember.
Because like that was a big thing I remember reading about in Ellis Island, and just like looking at the historical facts of this and learning about what I learned in college.
Angel Island.
Angel Island. Okay, I figured as much, but I thought that was really interesting because I couldn't imagine, because even you have to take like the first couple pages of the book where it's like it opens up with like
that big surprise to you, like the Exclusion Act and everything.
Well, not even that. I was more so thinking about the conversation he has with the kid in the camp.
Oh yeah,
and, like we're on the island.
Oh yeah,
and how he gets like the exclusive like ticket
because he knows Mason Caraway.
Yeah,
he's like, you just get in here.
So it's just that alone is just like a pure example of what was actually happening in history, and it's like that is such a shitty thing where it's just it was such a strong opening where it's just he tells him like, and I have to lie to him again. And it's like, you're gonna be okay. Yeah, it's like my heart, because
he's so honest with it, and he's like, because he knows the reality of it. Again, not sugarcoating nothing, straightforward. And man, and it was so much easier for light skin or like whiter skin Europeans to get to the country. And the tests they gave these motherfuckers were insane. Yeah, it was so fucking
that was something I read about in the story about the chick from when I was in college, because reading about how long and
unfair and just fucking nitpicky and very specific,
the background checks and everything.
It's so ridiculous, so fucking dumb. It's you think a citizenship test is bad here? Fuck out of here, man. One of the things that, I mean, I've only highlighted, I mean, there's several, but out of the several, it's so many. One of them is 1892, the Gary Act. It extended the Chinese Exclusion Act and required all Chinese residents to carry an external passport and a resident permit. Yeah. Failure to carry one of those was punishable by deportation or a year of hard labor. In addition, the act barred the Chinese from bearing witness in court. So that's crazy. Just even being prevented from showing up in court, crazy. And then, okay, deportation, kind of logical. But then a year of hard labor is like, what the fuck, bro? Like, that's crazy.
What in the slavery?
Facts, bro. Here's another one. The Cable Act, 1920. While in theory designed to grant women their own national identity, the law tied a woman's citizenship to her husband and decreed any American woman who married an, quote, an alien ineligible for citizenship shall cease to be a citizen of the United States. As a result, any American woman who married a Chinese immigrant would lose their citizenship. That's fucking crazy, bro. Yeah. That's like real. And that's when I'm like, what the? Like, that's my whole reaction to this. I'm like, what the fuck, bro?
What the? You're like, what the?
Exactly. In 1922, Takaozawa versus United States, the Supreme Court case ruling ethnic Japanese were not considered Caucasian and therefore did not meet the Naturalization Act of the 1790s. Free white persons requirements allowing no path to the U.S. citizenship for Japanese immigrants. So if you were Japanese trying to come to the U.S., not possible, bro.
Would have thought. You would have thought.
And then you get the U.S. versus Bhagat Singh Thind, the Supreme Court case ruling that white Indians were considered Caucasians by contemporary racial anthropology. They were not seen as white in the common understanding, making immigrants from India also ineligible for U.S. citizenship. So it's like a bunch of bullshit, you know, a bunch of bullshit. I got 3 more for you.
They're like, you guys are different. And
we don't like it.
Do we need to explain anything else?
Get out. Basically, bro. Stay out.
Do I need to go even more?
We got the 1924 Immigration Act of 1924. Pretty redundant. Also known as the Johnson-Reed Act. And mind you, it took me a lot to not basically mention all of these because they're all fucking astounding. But I really just chose the ones that I was like, damn. So this one barred Asians and Arabs from entering America while setting quotas on the number of immigrants from the Eastern Hemisphere and reducing immigration from Southern and Eastern Europe. It also banned those ineligible for citizenship from immigrating, which of course applied to Asians. The act provided funding and legal instructions to courts for deporting immigrants while authorizing the formation of the U.S. Border Patrol. According to the U.S. Department of State's Office of the Historian, the law's purpose was designed to preserve the ideal of U.S. homogeneity. I can't say that. Basically, if you didn't know, the Border Patrol was basically formed during this whole time period, basically because of the Chinese.
Yeah.
You know, you think the border right now, you think Mexicans. I get it. We make great food. You hate us.
They're just envious.
Yeah.
Like it's like that white chef that makes Mexican food.
Oh man.
It
Oh
all
yeah.
comes full circle.
Oh, an episode.
Couldn't find it. God, I don't fucking know what episode that was.
Me
a part
neither,
of.
bro.
Fucking
That
hell.
was a long time ago. Two more. 1924, the Snyder Act granted U.S. citizenship to Native Americans 148 years after the founding of America.
Release the Snyder Cut.
So 148 years after finding America, where the Native Americans were to here, they were like, "Yeah, cool."
You're like, all right.
And then I already read the Mexican repatriation. That's what I read already. And then we talk about the Massey case, which in the sum up, I don't know if you want to explain it in a brief. Up to you. Take your time. But we talked about it last episode. You want to mention it?
I mean, we talked about it last episode.
Yeah,
I don't want to spoil last episode. Fucking hell, you're just like spoiling. You just want to spoil the comic. You want to spoil our episodes.
Everything, bro.
God damn, you want to spoil me? Like, come on, baby.
I know. I know. They were talking about one of the characters in the books based off Filipinos, and at this certain time in the book, they mentioned that one of them was scared to go to the cops, and because if they were convicted, at the time Filipinos were being taken out their house and even being thrown off bridges, which is crazy, bro. And the test we were talking about earlier would basically be like mad questions that not only you had to answer in a specific way, but like other people who would answer have to have answered in the same exact way for you to pass.
Like
and
the
then your
cross reference of it all. And you know, I almost thought about Blade Runner with like the comp test, where like the test. Of
Oh shit, I forgot about that
how
shit.
extensive and intense that is and
Like,
shit.
you need to be everything spot on. Fucking how English was so crucial to be getting in, so people would teach classes back in China and this and that, wherever they're coming from, that even to the point where in Angel Island people being held, also husband and wife completely separated. If you're a man, you're a woman, completely different camps for both of you. But also the guards would even sell information to learn English to the people who were staying, so they could learn and possibly get in here. I mean, bro, it's just, this is just literally just a glimpse into everything that's told to you, just in the back of the book.
This isn't even a beehole.
No, this is literally just side notes, and it's super incredible that he was able to just do two things, kill two birds, basically, you know?
Yeah.
And damn, man, this book was incredible, and I really had a great time reading both of them. I definitely would read it again, but it really re-sparked me wanting to read more books.
Now, I'm definitely going to reread this when that 1936 edition comes out.
Yeah.
Because I think that's going to be a fucking dope way to read it. Because I would imagine it's probably going to be a bigger format too.
Yeah.
Be a little thicker.
So much
like,
more,
you know,
hardcover. Yeah, I mean.
Give it a little. You know, that book is going to be like.
What are you doing, step bro?
Hell yeah. But yeah, man, that's The Good Asian by Pornsak. I can't say his last name. It's so difficult for me to say his last name.
It's a difficult last name.
Yeah. Let me try it though. Pornsak Pichetshote.
Pichetshote.
That's what I'll say. Pichetshote. Okay.
Pornsak Pichetshote.
Hell yeah, bro. And but yeah, there's a couple of things that he's working on that are very famous. I forget the other ones, but we'll cover them in the future.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm excited to read more. And yeah, bro, I can't wait till more of this comes out. I think it's gonna be in the same universe. It's fucking awesome. It's fucking awesome.
It's fucking wicked.
It's fucking awesome, bro.
It's fucking wicked,
fucking
bro.
awesome, Philadelphia, bro. Go Birds.
Oh, I'm from fucking Boston. I'm fucking Harvard smart, kid.
Smart.
I'd be fucking parking the car at Harvard Yard.
All the fans of Boston, they were like, "Yo, we fucking."
We have no fans in Boston. So.
Nope. Taiwan though, Taiwan.
Yo,
Shout out to Taiwan.
Shout out to Taiwan.
Yo, shout out. Speaking of good Asians,
yo, Dad,
Taiwan. Hell yeah, you are your own country.
They
Fuck
better
out
be
of
the
here.
only ones listening to this episode.
They're like, wait, how you say hell yeah? And
hey Google, how do you say hell yeah in Taiwanese?
I think they speak Mandarin, bro.
Hell yeah. This is how you show your friends you're excited about the success they've just made.
The,
How
the fuck is Google saying?
I don't know.
You should record that, put it in the recording. Yeah, but in Taiwan, they speak Mandarin, bro.
Nah, they don't. That's a fruit, Frankie. Come on. Shut the fuck up.
How to say hell yeah in Mandarin. All right, so
Did you not just hear her?
Haya Hawaii. That's what she said.
Yeah, so
All right, wait. Let's this is how you say it, duh.
天呐，是的，
Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. Shout out to all the Taiwanese motherfuckers out there.
hell yeah.
Hell yeah, you are your own country. Fuck
And-
China's bugging.
You know,
We talked about Taiwan, I think, in a couple episodes before.
we have
in episode
28. That one I can find because it's in the title. It's in the title. That one I can find.
Yeah, bro. But yeah, thank you for listening to the A.M.C section.
Yeah. First comic episode of season 2.
Hell yeah,
Yo,
bro.
Knuckles.
No, give me some knuckles, bro. Yeah, let's fucking go, bro. Ooh.
We fucking did it, dog.
We did, bro. Shout out to
Link,
Link.
our mascot.
Congratulations to who won the Grammy this year for best album.
Wasn't it Taylor Swift?
Shout
Didn't we
out Taylor
talk
Swift.
about that?
Shut up. Shout out T Swizzle.
We didn't talk about who won the Super Bowl though.
The Chiefs won.
Yeah, I'm very upset about it.
I know you're a hardcore 49ers fan.
I know.
Sorry about that, bro. Speaking of San Fran.
Oh my god.
Shit.
It all comes full
It
circle.
all comes
Oh
back.
my god.
It's crazy.